Good morning, everyone. This is the first week after the exam, and we'll be starting with a new chapter that is about memory organization. Okay, that is chapter number 6, right? So, first, let me know how many types of memories are there inside the system. Am I audible, everyone? Primary and secondary. Okay, RAM, ROM, cache. Yes, very good. Fine. So why there is a multiple level of memories inside the system? Isn't it only one memory is enough? To avoid collision, but what kind of collision is there? Like CPU can only refer one resource at a time, right? So CPU want to access, let us say, RAM. So side by side, it cannot refer to your hard disk or secondary level of memory. Okay. Making fast processor to access memory for fast access of data. Yes, right. Okay, because we don't have enough patience to wait, right, for any task to get accomplished. So day by day, the processors are becoming faster, and so as we need some good fast memories in order to serve the request, right? And that's where we are having multiple level of memories in the system, because some of the data we are not referring very often. Some of the data is being frequently used by the CPU, right? And it is unnecessary to dump the rarely used data in the fast memory, right? Because the memory is something which is very scarce resource, all right? Such as our CPU. Memory is also a scarce resource. So we need to maintain it very efficiently in order to make the entire processing fast. And we also have to make sure that we are not wasting the fast memory. Okay, so which one is the fast memory apart from this primary memory and secondary memory? Which one is fast? I am talking about only primary and secondary, Dinky. It is a primary memory, right? It is a primary memory. So what is the size of primary memory in your system? It is RAM. Yes, primary and RAM both are same, Ketan. दोनों सेम ही है, ठीक है? When I say primary memory, it is a random access memory, right? So what is the size of the RAM in the system, in your system? 4 GB, 8 GB, depends on the system configuration, right? Fine. How much it will cost you if you want to extend your RAM for say 2 GB or 4 GB? What will be the cost for RAM extension? 2,000, 4,000, something like that, right? Okay. If you want to purchase, let us say, hard disk, how much it will cost you and what will be the size? In 5,000, I think 4 to 5,000, you will get 1 TB hard disk. It will, okay, 1 TB hard disk. So you know what is the relationship between the cost, the size, and access time? Okay. So for two level of memory, let us say primary memory and secondary memory. Okay, the size of the primary memory is less, but the per bit cost of primary memory is more, and that's where the primary memory is costly as compared to secondary memory. Okay, So cost per bit of primary memory is more as compared to secondary memory. Access time of primary memory is less as compared to the secondary memory. That means if you want to access data, okay, so the time taken by primary memory is less to let the CPU access the data which is stored in the primary memory, but to fetch the accessed data from the secondary memory takes more time. It takes more time. So which one is faster? The primary memory is faster. It is faster, but its cost per bit is more and the access time is less. Plus the storage capacity is also less as compared to the secondary memory. Okay. So we cannot keep 500 GB RAM, right? We cannot keep 500 GB RAM or 1 GB RAM. It is not feasible because it will be very much costly. And second thing is that it may get slower if you are storing 500 GB data inside your RAM, because in that case, the sorting and searching mechanism will take additional time, right? It will take additional time. Okay. So let us say if you're having multi-level of memory, multiple level of memory, right? Let us say we are having third level, that is a cache memory. Okay. So what will be the layout of the memory? The logical layout. We will be having a CPU. Closer to the CPU, we are having cache memory, okay, which is logically closer to the CPU. After cache memory, that will be a primary memory, and then there will be a secondary memory. Okay. So always, it is always the first memory. Okay, if I'm saying that I'm having M1, M2, and M3, three level of memory, CPU will always try to access data from M1, the memory which is logically close to the CPU, right? If the request is not served, in that case, the request will get transferred to the M2, which is a second level of memory. Again, if the request is satisfied, the CPU can proceed with its calculations or any execution of data. But if it is not satisfied, then request will be forwarded to the third level of memory, which is M3. Okay. So always CPU will try to find the requested data from M1. M1 is cache memory if you're having a three level of memory, or it can be a primary memory if you're having a two level of memory. Okay. Fine. So here it will be a CPU. Closer to the CPU is cache. Then comes primary memory, and then comes secondary memory. Okay, so always it is the logical, this is the logical uh, hierarchy. First, if you will try to find the data from cache, if the data is present in the cache, then it is called cache hit. It is called cache hit. That means something is found. And if data is not found in the cache, then it is called cache miss. In case of cache miss, CPU will forward that request to the primary memory. Okay. If the data is found, CPU can proceed with the execution. If it is not found, then it will refer to the secondary memory. Secondary memory is, in short, I can say that it is a storage. It will keep everything. You can keep everything inside the secondary memory, right? You can keep everything inside your secondary memory. Okay, but for a program to be in execution mode, the program code must be present in the primary memory. So, as and when requested, the program code will be transferred from the secondary memory to the primary memory, and then we can run or execute that program. We can run or execute that program, right? Secondary memory is a storage which will keep everything. It will act as a overflow memory if your primary memory is full, or you can dump anything in your secondary memory. But if we talk about the memory management, then management of primary memory is the focus of this chapter. Okay, everything revolves around the primary memory because it is a scarce resource. CPU will access the primary memory first. In order to get your program to be executed, the program must be loaded in the primary memory. So the storage management of the primary memory is very much important, right? So this is the logical link, right? We can have 1 or 2 level of cache if you are talking about 4 level of memory. So 4 level of memory hierarchy, we can have a CPU, then we can have cache memory 1, right? Then we can have cache memory 2, then we can have primary memory, and then we can have secondary memory. So we can have 1 or 2 level of cache. Also, the data cache and instruction cache may be different, and so on. Okay. So the cache and main memory, which is your primary memory, form a distinct sub-hierarchy. Okay. If we talk about only cache and primary memory, cache and primary memory. It forms a distinct hierarchy whose design objective is to support CPU accesses with a minimum delay. What is the design objective of introducing cache? To have minimum delay, because the data access from the cache is faster than the data access from the primary memory, but the cache memory is having less storage capacity. Okay. So the organization between the primary memory and secondary memory, what do you call it? Organization of primary memory and secondary memory together. So the main memory and the secondary memory form another distinct two-level hierarchy, right? There is a distinct hierarchy between cache and primary. There is a distinct hierarchy between primary and secondary. Okay. So main memory and secondary memory form another distinct two-level hierarchy which is managed by the operating system. This hierarchy is managed by your operating system. Okay, you don't have to worry about while you are writing a program. For example, your RAM capacity is, let us say, 2 GB, and you are trying to run an application which is of 2.5 GB size, right? Which is technically not possible. What is must? The application तभी execute होगी when it is loaded into your primary memory. But primary memory is already of 2 GB size, and 2 GB is not entirely free. You are having your operating system code in your primary memory. You are having many other data in the primary memory. And how do you going to run your application? It is not possible if we talk about the simple hierarchy. Technically, it is not possible. But the operating system in turn maintain which data will be stored in the primary memory and which data will be replaced, but when. Because if you want to use primary memory, you have to create an empty slot in the primary memory. Again, we cannot randomly delete any data. The data which is frequently used by the user or CPU should be kept in the primary memory, but which is not used very often, that should be replaced. Okay. So copy of everything is present in the secondary memory. Copy of everything is present in the secondary memory. You are just transferring the copy into the primary memory. So प्राइमरी मेमोरी में चेंज करोगे बट सेकेंडरी मेमोरी में अभी तक ओल्ड कॉपी रहेगी, तो आप उसको डायरेक्टली ओवरराइट नहीं कर सकते हो. अगर आपने उस डेटा को मॉडिफाई किया है तो सेकेंडरी मेमोरी में उस चेंज को रिफ्लेक्ट करना पड़ेगा एंड देन यू कैन रिप्लेस द डेटा ब्लॉक इन द प्राइमरी मेमोरी विद द न्यू ब्लॉक, right? So if I say that the data is present in the cache memory, that data is also present in the primary and that data is also present in the secondary memory. We are just modifying the copy of data. We are just modifying the copy of data. Once it will get modified on the timely basis, we need to update the current value of the data into the secondary memory. Why? Because anytime it will get replaced by new block. As I said, 2 GB RAM है, 2.5 GB की एप्लीकेशन है. कैसे करोगे आप? प्रोग्राम को चंक में डिवाइड करोगे, एट ए टाइम एक ब्लॉक को आप ट्रांसफर करोगे. कहां पे ट्रांसफर करना है वो भी ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम फाइंड करेगा बाय सम एल्गोरिदम्स. ठीक है, कौन से ब्लॉक को आप फ्री करो और वहां पे नया ब्लॉक ऐड करो। फ्री करो का मतलब ये नहीं कि ओवरराइट कर दो, आपको चेक करना पड़ेगा उस डेटा ब्लॉक में कोई मॉडिफिकेशन हुआ है, अगर हुआ है तो उस कॉपी को रिफ्लेक्ट करो टू द सेकेंडरी मेमोरी, उस डेटा को अपडेट करो सेकेंडरी मेमोरी में, उसके बाद नए ब्लॉक को उस जगह पे आप एलोकेट करो। So these things is very much complicated. You being a programmer, you are not going to do that, right? So operating system will going to manage it. Operating system will going to manage it, right? So the sub-hierarchy of primary and secondary memory is managed by the operating system, and the sub-hierarchy of cache memory and primary memory is managed by some software, right? So this sub-hierarchy, that is primary and secondary memory, which is operated by operating system, it is not transparent to the system software. This thing is not transparent to the system software, right? So when the main memory and the secondary memory appears to the user program like a single large and directly addressable memory, then it is termed as virtual memory. Being a user, we are not worried about the empty slots present in the primary memory. We are not worried about the size of the memory, right? And we don't know where to store the data. आप कंट्रोल एस करोगे आपका डेटा कहाँ पे स्टोर हुआ, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू नो दैट, और आप उसको मैनेज भी नहीं कर रहे हो। कैन यू डिसाइड कि कोई फाइल आप सेव कर रहे हो तो आपको रैम में स्टोर करनी है या सेकेंडरी मेमोरी में स्टोर करनी है? यू आर नॉट डिसाइडिंग दैट, राइट? सो एवरीथिंग इज मैनेज्ड बाय द ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम. Okay, now what is the reason for this sub-hierarchy between primary and secondary memory, which is called virtual memory? Reason for the virtual memory, anyone? Write in the chat section. See, understanding this concept is very much important. If you think you are not getting the point, let me know, because it is very much important. Okay, आपको पता होना जरूरी है इस चीज को. तो समझ में नहीं आता है तो बोलो, रिपीट करेंगे, क्योंकि बाकी के सारे टॉपिक्स इसी पे बेस्ड है. दिस इज द बेसिक कंसेप्ट. My question was, what was the reason for using virtual memory? No, we cannot assign some part of secondary memory as primary memory. That is not possible. You are IT22 तो मैं IT22 ही रहोगे. मैं assume नहीं कर सकती कि IT22 can work as IT23 as well. You are two individual. What is the reason of using virtual memory? Why we are collaborating this primary memory and secondary memory together? To enable using secondary memory when primary is full or has less capacity. We cannot directly use secondary memory. First thing, CPU cannot directly use the secondary memory, but if primary memory is full, some block which is there in the primary memory will get transferred to the secondary memory. Then operating system will create empty regions, empty set of blocks to store new data, and then operating system transfer some block of data from secondary to primary memory, because ultimately CPU will access first first from M1 the memory which is logically close to it, right? So CPU will always trying to refer M1 first. अगर डेटा मिलता है तो ठीक है, उसके बाद M2 पे रिक्वेस्ट जाएगी. M2 में डेटा मिला, हाँ मिला, तो उस डेटा को ट्रांसफर करेगी M1 में, उसके बाद ही CPU उसको एक्सेस करेगा. Is it clear, Dinky? CPU डायरेक्टली सेकेंडरी मेमोरी या प्राइमरी मेमोरी से डेटा नहीं लेता है. दिस डेटा शुड बी ट्रांसफर टू द नियरेस्ट मेमोरी M1, राइट? और उसके बाद CPU उसको एक्सेस करेगा. 3 लेवल ऑफ हायरार्की है, तो M3 से M2 में ट्रांसफर होगा, M2 से M1 में ट्रांसफर होगा, और फिर M1 से CPU उसको एक्सेस करेगा. तो देयर इज अ लिंक, देयर इज अ प्रोसेस, राइट? The reason for using virtual memory is to free user program from the need of carry out storage allocation, right? We don't have to worry about the storage allocation, right? And also to permit efficient sharing of available memory space among the different user programs. ऐसा हुआ कि आप एट ए टाइम एक ही प्रोग्राम ओपन कर सकते हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी ब्राउजर ओपन किया है, तो क्या आप माइक्रोसॉफ्ट वर्ड नहीं ओपन कर सकते? आप कर सकते हो, ठीक है. आप डेटा प्रिंट कर रहे हो, बैकग्राउंड में कोई एप्लीकेशन चल रही है, दूसरी एप्लीकेशन ओपन है जहां पे आपका कोई प्रोग्राम रन हो रहा है. यू आर डूइंग मल्टीपल टास्क इन योर सिस्टम, राइट? So to free user program from the need of carry out storage allocation and to permit efficient sharing of available space among the different user. See, what do you understand by physical memory? Physical memory, primary memory, main memory and RAM, चारों एक ही नाम है, ठीक है? चारों एक ही नाम है. सेकेंडरी मेमोरी इज योर हार्ड डिस्क, उसके बारे में हम बात ही नहीं कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? फाइन. सो इसमें कंफ्यूज नहीं होना है. फिजिकल मेमोरी मतलब एक ही नाम है, जो तुम रैम बोलते हो उसी रैम को फिजिकल मेमोरी भी बोलते हैं, उसी रैम को प्राइमरी मेमोरी भी बोलते हैं, राइट? और चौथा क्या बोला मैंने? रैम, फिजिकल मेमोरी, प्राइमरी मेमोरी और मेन मेमोरी. चारों एक ही नाम है, ठीक है? एक ही चीज को रेफर करते हैं, विच इज योर रैम, ठीक है? सेकेंडरी मेमोरी तो आपके हिसाब से आप पेन ड्राइव भी डाल दो, फर्क पड़ेगा? सीपीयू को निकाल दिया थोड़ी देर बाद, नहीं, ठीक है? आप एक्सटर्नल हार्ड डिस्क भी डाल दो, पोर्टेबल हार्ड डिस्क भी डाल दो, सीपीयू को उसको फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. अगर आपको डेटा एक्सेस करना है उससे, तो वो डेटा मेन मेमोरी में ट्रांसफर होगा, फिर सीपीयू उसको एक्सेस करेगा. वो डायरेक्टली किसी दूसरी मेमोरी को एक्सेस नहीं करता है, वाया रैम ही एक्सेस करता है, ठीक है? तो अगर हम बोलते हैं कि वर्चुअल मेमोरी रियल में एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती है, क्यों नहीं करती है? आप डेटा कहाँ पे स्टोर कर रहे हो? हवा में तो स्टोर नहीं होता है. डेटा कहाँ पे स्टोर होता है? मेमोरी में स्टोर हो रहा है. पर हमको नहीं पता है कि प्राइमरी मेमोरी और सेकेंडरी मेमोरी के बीच में क्या कोलैबोरेशन है. आप टेक्निकली ये चीज पढ़ रहे हो तो आपको पता है, कोई दूसरा इसको यूज करता है उसको नहीं पता चलेगा, ठीक है? उसको नहीं पता चलेगा, इसलिए उसको वर्चुअल बोलते हैं. वर्चुअल क्यों बोलते हैं? है, पर आपको पता नहीं है कि है. ऐसा नहीं कि नहीं है. आप लिखते हो एग्जाम में वर्चुअल मेमोरी का, इट डज नॉट रियली एग्जिस्ट. इट एग्जिस्ट. डेटा हवा पे नहीं स्टोर होता है, पर जो आप प्राइमरी मेमोरी और सेकेंडरी मेमोरी के बीच में जो रिलेशन है वो यूजर को नहीं पता रहता है, वो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम अपने आप मैनेज करती है. You don't have to worry about to free up the space in the RAM and to store new data. Operating system boot हुआ, when you are booting, your operating system code will get transferred from your hard disk to your RAM. आपने किया? आपने नहीं किया. किसने किया? सिस्टम सॉफ्टवेयर, ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम ने किया. तो यूजर को वरी करना पड़ा? नहीं करना पड़ा। आपको पता चला कि कहां से ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम बूट हुआ, कहां पे स्टोर हुआ? को नहीं पता। दैट्स व्हाई इट इज कॉल्ड वर्चुअल। इट रियली एग्जिस्ट। आपका डेटा हवा पे नहीं स्टोर होता है, इट एग्जिस्ट, पर कहां पे स्टोर हो रहा है, कैसे उसको मैनेज कर रहे हैं, हमको नहीं उसकी कुछ, वी डोंट हैव टू वरी अबाउट दैट, वी डोंट हैव टू मैनेज इट इवन, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट फॉर अस इट इज वर्चुअल। फॉर सिस्टम it exists. System को पता है there is 2 level of memory in the system, but user don't know about that, right? So when you talk about physical memory, it is your RAM. We have memory organization technique for managing the random access memory only. Secondary memory को आपको manage करना पड़ता है. Do you even care how to manage your pen drive storage? No. Do you even worry about how to manage your CD storage or DVD storage or your portable hard disk storage? No, you're not worrying about that. Okay. So, second reason for using virtual memory is to make program independent of the configuration and the capacity of your physical memory. Okay. This virtual memory enables us to make our program independent of the configuration of your physical memory. Right? So, why it is called independent of the physical memory? See, secondary memory exists, operating system automatically divide your programs into chunks, and as and when required, the chunk of program will get transferred from the secondary memory to the primary memory. It will get executed, then operating system will find out which space should be get freed in order to allocate new block in the physical memory. Right? So program is independent of the configuration of the memory. Even though you're having 1 GB RAM, you can run an application of 1.5 GB, 2 GB or 4 GB application. Right? That's what it means. Okay? Again, what is the third reason for having a virtual memory? To achieve very low access time and cost per bit. What do you understand by low access time? As I said that accessing data from M1 is faster as compared to accessing data from the secondary memory or next level of memories, right? But the faster memory always incurs more cost. Okay? So what we want to achieve? We want to achieve the speed, but we also want to take care about the cost. So we are achieving two things together: low access time and cost per bit. Low access time and cost per bit. Okay, and that's why we are not having 500 GB RAM in the system. We are having 4 GB or 8 GB or 16 GB at max. Okay, for other things there is a secondary memory storage is there. Okay, because management of M1 primary memory is most important. All right, is that clear? What is a virtual memory? What is its use? What is the relationship between a primary and secondary memory, and what is the relationship between cache and primary memory? Is it clear? Any doubt? So make sure that if you are fetching data, right? If I said load the program into the primary memory, but the copy of program will be there in the secondary memory as well. The copy of program will be there in the primary memory as well. So cache is physically located partially or fully inside the processor chip. Partially be present hoti hai, or fully it can be present inside the processor chip as well. Right? So that's why for memory organization we don't talk about cache, because that will be another level. Right? Right now we are focusing on the primary memory. उसके बाद next chapter है पूरा cache memory पे. ठीक है? And you ever heard that तुमने cache extend किया? No. You always extend your RAM. You can't extend your cache by yourself. Fastest है and that's why उसकी size storage capacity बहुत less होती है and that's why we can accommodate that level of memory inside the processor chip जहाँ पे तुम्हारे CPU registers रहते हैं ठीक है faster access के लिए right? So if you're having a multiple level of memory then we need to know the cost and performance of the memory as well. Cost and performance of the memory as well. Is that clear, everyone? Multiple level of memory, how it works, what is the relationship between primary and secondary, cache and primary. This is the basic thing. Theoretical clear होगा, उसके बाद हम आगे जाएंगे. So, let us say you are having some data D present in the secondary memory. Okay? CPU cannot directly access that data. So we need to transfer this data to the primary memory, right? Transferring doesn't mean that we are entirely transferring the data, but we are just making a copy in the primary memory, right? Let us say we are also having cache memory in the system. So we are, let us say, transferring the data. What is the purpose of cache? Frequently accessed जो भी data होता है वो cache में store होता है, ठीक है? जो frequently referred by the CPU program that will be stored in the cache memory, right? Cache में जाएगा, यहाँ से CPU उसको access करेगा. So if CPU has changed this data to D+1, right? D+1. तो कहाँ पे चेंज हुआ? कैश में चेंज हुआ. प्राइमरी और सेकेंडरी में क्या है? डी ही है. तो अगर कोई नया डेटा आता है, लेट अस से y, right? Let us say y is present in the primary memory and cache memory is full. So we need to replace, or we need to create some space in the cache. And let us say the system has chosen this block which has stored D+1. So we cannot directly replace it with y. क्यों? Updated copy reflect nahi hui hai to the primary memory and secondary memory. So before replacing this, we need to update it here, right? Once it will be updated here, that should be updated here as well, right? And after this, we can replace D+1 with y. Let us say here we are having a new data in the system. Let us say z, right? Let us say z. So CPU पहले कहाँ रेफर करेगा? कैश में देखेगा. Z is present? No, not present. So request will get transferred to the primary memory. Here it will check whether Z is present. No, Z is not present. It will check in the secondary memory. Z is present. Z is not present. Okay. So operating system will come to know that okay, we need to create a space for Z in the primary memory. Okay. Let us say this primary memory is having a capacity to store 3 blocks. Okay. For example, 3 block. Okay. So here we are having data X. There are some algorithms. Which are used to take which block will get replaced with a new block. Okay, and based on the algorithm, it will select one. So Z को स्टोर करना है तो इस 3 में से एक को रिप्लेस करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, इस 3 में से एक को रिप्लेस करना पड़ेगा. Fine. So let us say operating system has chosen D+1 for replacing. Okay, so with the data, there is some information will be additionally stored. Whether the data is modified when it was last present in the memory. Okay, so this data is not modified. It is D+1 here, D+1 in the secondary memory. Simply, it will replace D+1 with Z. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, from Z, from here, this will also copied to the cache memory, and from cache memory, the CPU can access Z. Okay, so when I say M1 means logically nearest memory from CPU, right? Agar if you are talking about a two level of memory hierarchy, level of memory hierarchy means M1 and M2 दो ही रहेगा. So M1 किसे refer करेगा? M1 is obviously your primary memory. If you're having a three level of memory hierarchy, then M1 will refer to the cache. M1 will refer to the cache. So we are giving M1 to the M1 is just name. M1 is just name that we are going to use for our reference. So when there is M1, that will be a logically near in memory to the CPU. 2 level होगा तो primary होगी, 3 level होगा तो cache होगा. ठीक है? Is that clear? Yes, done. So now we'll see the relationship between cost and performance between the primary and secondary memory or multi-level of memory hierarchy. Okay. So the main goal of a memory hierarchy design is to achieve the performance which is close to that of the fastest device, which is M1. But we need to also take care about the cost. So the cost per bit should be close to the cheapest device, which is MN. Okay. What is the main goal of having a memory hierarchy? That is, the performance should be faster. Right? Faster, which is close to the M1, but cost per bit we need to keep lowest as possible, right? So cost per bit should be close to the cheapest device, right? That is, let us say MN. जो भी last hierarchy में memory आएगी, that will be MN, right? So performance of the memory depends on several factors, right? What will be the first factor? Order and frequency of the logical addresses generated by the CPU. ऐसा तो नहीं कि CPU एक ही टाइप के एड्रेस बार बार जनरेट करेगा, नहीं. तो ऑर्डर and how frequently the address is generated by the CPU depends on which the performance will depend. Sometimes it is possible that, let us say, CPU has generated 10 addresses, right? And out of 10 addresses, 8 address reference is satisfied from M1. मतलब out of 10 data, 8 data we found from M1. So fastest हो गया performance. बाकी के 2 data के लिए हमको किसको refer करना पड़ेगा? We need to refer M2 for rest of the 2 data, right? But sometimes the condition is such that out of 10 addresses, let us say M1 only satisfies 2 references and rest 8 address references is satisfied from M2. ये भी तो हो सकता है, ठीक है? So the performance of the memory depends on the order and frequency of logical addresses generated by the programs, right? That will going to use the memory hierarchy. Okay? CPU कौन सा एड्रेस जनरेट करेगा? जो प्रोग्राम में दिया है. जो प्रोग्राम, the program whichever it takes for the execution, the address generations will be depend on the CPU itself, right? What will be the second factor? The second factor of using or to get to know the performance is the access time, right? We'll refer this access time as PAI. What is P? P is access time. What is A of I? A of I is we are having a memory hierarchy, right? For each level of memory. for each level of memory, right? Which means that out of 10 address references, let us say 8 is satisfied from M1. So M1 से डेटा एक्सेस करना फास्टर हो जाएगा, ठीक है. बाकी के 2 डेटा का एडिशनल टाइम लगेगा टू fetch it from M2, right? So another factor is access time for each level of memory. Third thing is the storage capacity. Why storage capacity? जितना स्टोरेज तुम्हारा बड़ा होगा उतना सर्चिंग टाइम ज्यादा लगेगा, ठीक है. So storage capacity of each level is also important, right? Which we refer as S of I, storage capacity of memory MI, right? Next thing is size of blocks per pages. Size of blocks per pages, right? Matlab, for example, if I talk about block, sometimes one block refer to 8 byte of data. मतलब एक block तुम्हारा लेटेस्ट है 32 byte का है. For example, one block is of 64 bytes. That depends on the system partition, right? So 32 byte का block हो सकता है, 64 byte का block हो सकता है, ठीक है. एक पेज में आप कितने block accommodate कर सकते हो? Page size और page capacity is also important, right? So that is also important. So size of blocks per pages transferred between adjacent levels. As I said that if data is not found in M1, that will be referred to the M2. So M2 से M1 में transfer करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है. So that is also important for an M2. What is the block size? What is M1? What is the block size? Right? So size of block per pages that will be transferred between the adjacent level. And next thing which is very much important is called allocation algorithm. Allocation algorithm, which is used to determine the region of the memory. Which region of the memory will be taken into consideration for replacement and to get replaced by new block. So we cannot randomly pick up any block from the primary memory and we'll overwrite it, but instead of that, we'll be having an algorithm that will select the blocks which is there in M1, right? So let us say if you're having a 2 level of memory. So for 2 level of memory, the cost will be determined by the cost of memory M1 multiplied by size of memory M1 plus cost of memory M2 multiplied by size of memory M2 and divided by S1 plus size of memory S1 plus size of memory S2, right? So that will be the cost of 2 level of memory hierarchy, that is M1 and M2. If you're having 3 level, then additionally we will have C3 multiplied by S3 divided by S1 plus S2 plus S3. Okay, where C is the cost per bit of memory, S is the storage capacity of respective memory. Okay, again, the performance can also be measured in terms of hit ratio, which is one of the performance measure, which is called hit ratio. Right? What do you understand by hit ratio? It is the probability that a virtual address generated by the CPU refers to the information currently stored in the faster memory M1. Okay? So, as I said that out of 10 address references, let us say 8 references is satisfied by M1. What will be the hit ratio? That is 8 upon 10 will be the hit ratio. Okay? So, it is a probability that a virtual memory, a virtual address, okay, generated by CPU refers to the information currently stored in the faster memory. faster memory M1. That means a hit. Okay, that means a hit. Okay, so let us say we are having total n address references. मतलब तुम्हारे प्रोग्राम ने n address generate किए. So out of n, let us say number of address references which is present in the primary memory is n1. Okay, it is satisfied by the n1. So what will be the hit ratio? Hit ratio will be n1 upon total address references, which is n. And let us say n2 is the remaining address references which is not satisfied by m2, and so that the reference will, request will get transferred to m2. So the hit ratio, this will be the miss ratio, right? जो address references m1 में नहीं मिलेंगे तो miss हो जाएगा. So that will be n2 upon n, right? Okay, so those address references which is satisfied by m1, it is called hit, and those address references which is not satisfied by m1, that is called miss, right? So hit ratio can be determined by number of address references satisfied by m1, right? So that would be n1 upon total address references n1 plus n2, right? And what will be the miss ratio m? Miss ratio will be 1 minus h. 1 minus h. That will be a miss ratio. Okay. So it is one of the performance measure, that is hit ratio. Is that clear, everyone? Okay. Next thing is the access time. ओके, एक्सेस टाइम मतलब डेटा अगर आप फेच कर रहे हो तो किसी मेमोरी का पर्टिकुलर एक्सेस टाइम होता है. ठीक है, सेकेंडरी मेमोरी टेक मोर टाइम एज कंपेयर टू प्राइमरी मेमोरी एंड कैश मेमोरी. ओके, सो let's consider that we are having a TA1 and T of A2 as access time of memory M1 and M2 respectively, right? So the average access time क्यों? all our address references consider करने पड़ेंगे which will be referred from M1 as well as from M2. So we need to take all over time, that is average access time will be number of address references which is satisfied by M1 multiplied by access time of M1. Number of address references satisfied by M1 multiplied by access time of M1, और जो हमको M1 में नहीं मिलेगा that we need to refer from M2, right? That is 1 minus h multiplied by address references that is satisfied by the M2. So that will be the average access time. Okay, that will be the average access time. Okay, so average access time is hit multiplied by access time of memory M1 plus 1 minus hit ratio of M1 multiplied by average time of A2, access time of A2, right? Is that clear? What is the hit ratio and what is average access time? So, for example, total address generated by CPU is, let us say, 10. Okay, out of which 6 is satisfied by M1 whose access time is, let us say, 10 nanosecond, 2 nanosecond, and access time of second level of memory, that is TA2, is, let us say, 10 nanosecond. Then what will be the average access time to run the program which consists of 10 address references? So in that case, heat multiplied by TA1 plus 1 minus heat multiplied by TA2. So what will be the heat? That is address reference generated by the CPU divided by total address generated. So heat will be 6 upon 10. Okay. Calculate the average access time. Yes, it is 5.2 nanosecond. Okay. Fine. So just wait for a minute. I'll be taking your attendance very shortly, and after which we'll end this session. Okay, everyone, you may leave the meeting.